through a lifetime of being sick and never being able to breathe. And then finally figuring this out at 45 years old. Like, I started this list out of necessity due to our medical system being broken. Most docs today just not being trained or taught in many of these capacities. And then as a result, like, so many kids today are in need of this much earlier than it's given to many. And these kids just struggle, and I know what it's like to be those kids, and it just breaks my heart. And, talking to parents that get horrible, literally, recommendations and advice, like, I just started this to ensure that parents could start without really knowing in a place that might just provide better, I'd say, first conversation, so that parents aren't led astray by someone that doesn't really know, telling someone that, like, it's fine or your kid's going to grow out of it, so that, these kids end up with lost potential, sometimes even years, living into more sickness and making their stuff more complicated. And for those that can't afford it or don't have good access, like, these kids are stuck for the rest of their lives, oftentimes just dealing with symptoms that shouldn't necessarily be the case. And it sucks. And it's like my whole life I was sick, a bubble boy, and I see some of these kids and I talk to these parents, and I just decided, like, I'm going to create this list, and I'm going to take something really complicated. I'm going to oversimplify it on both ends of the spectrum for adults and little kids. And essentially, based on my own philosophy, just going to find docs that expand the upper lower jaw in little kids starting at 3, 4, 5. And those that essentially split the midline in adults and do MARPE-MSE-FME-EASE and some of these other procedures that, in my mind, just provide a better increase in nasal volume and really move the marker when it comes to breathing and helping with sleep apnea. And that's not saying that these other doctors aren't good at what they do or doing it later for some kids, but I want to make sure that if there's a kid that needs this at 3, 4, 5 years old, that, like, they're not told, they're not given a postural trainer when they need expansion. And it's not about teeth, it's about airway for these little kids, ensuring that they can breathe and their brains get the oxygen they need, and that we keep the tongue on the roof of the mouth from a young age to ensure posture, vision, hearing, brain health are all there as a kid's developing in the most critical time of their life, to ensure that, like, we change health in this world. And currently it's a disaster. And, I just decided to do this because I've been in health for almost 30 years and I want to make changes, and I don't really care. People don't like my philosophy. It's kind of one of those things where I just want to help people. And oftentimes that means going against the norms and, not necessarily kind of being kosher and going with, what's proper, this and that. And I just decided to create this list in order to help parents either help themselves, help their kids, and start with someone that really knows what they're talking about to get a good conversation right out the gate. So feel free to download this. Hopefully you guys, if you find good docs, share it with friends, share doctors with me. And my goal is just continue to help this world just get healthy one kid at a time.